another new bit of decor here. And we have a little circle of people with a light in the middle. That for me is a reminder to you that we are all one. We are God's family. We're all children of God. So what do you think I'm going to be talking about now? Well, I won't make you think too hard and too long. I'm talking about charitable giving. I know, at this time of the year, it seems like there's almost as many charitable requests in the mail as there are offers for credit cards. Sometimes I get annoyed myself, especially if they send me a gift or labels or something, because then you think, that's not fair. Now I feel guilty if I don't give. You know, they gave me something, I got to give them something. You know what? We got to get over that, because that's not what giving is about. Giving is not about what we think with like this, you know, giving and receiving back and forth to a specific person, party, organization, or like that. When we give, we participate in God's circulation. And again, looking at our little folks here like a little family, of a little circle of friends or a circle of family, do we make charitable giving a family affair? What do your children hear you saying when you talk about charity? They say, oh my God, everybody's got their hand out at this time of the year, it's terrible. If you walk by someone, if you walk by the Salvation Army, you just walk by, you know, I gave at the office, you know, don't bother me. What is your attitude? Because I'm going to tell you something, whatever your attitude about giving is, your children are going to be reflecting down the road. So you want to make sure that you're helping them. Why? Because this is the way to be the oneness that we are. Most folks have heard me talk about being a change maker, spelled M-A-C-R, which is an acronym for Mutual Accountability and Collective Responsibility. We give not to receive, you know, in the back and forth motion. We give because we have received abundance from God. This is all about having an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of prosperity. That's what the real, you know, giving and receiving is about. How can we make giving and receiving and charity a part of our children's lives? You know, somewhere along the line, when they're real tiny, they share their toys, and at some point they get to this point where they're like, mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, and they even won't let other kids play with their toys, even if they're not playing with them. Maybe, just maybe, we can work with our children to instill that sense of circulation, of letting go. Because I'm going to tell you something, when you let go and give, and I pray you already know this, when you let go and give, it makes you feel so prosperous, it makes you feel so wonderful, so you are therefore actually developing the prosperity consciousness that is going to draw more good to you. So, again, the first thing I think is always important is gratitude. That is why Thanksgiving comes before Christmas, in my never-to-be-humble opinion. First, we give thanks, and we have gratitude for all that we have. And our children should have gratitude for all that they have as they anticipate new good. How about if you try an exercise with the kids like this? You know what? Christmas is coming. You're going to be, you know, getting some new stuff. You might want to make room for it and give it to others. You know, when we are not flowing freely in giving as well as receiving, what happens is we get stagnant. We actually block the flow of our own good. There are so many ways that if we just gave openly and freely, we would be blessed in the end. You know all those charity requests you got? If people were supporting them, they wouldn't be getting them. If you get them from places like Feeding America, Salvation Army, the people that, the soup kitchens, the people that are feeding the people that don't have much, when we think not about they're asking for my money, but if about them, saying, giving the money and saying, these people, I can help them to have a meal. And of course, the next step better than that would be to get yourself down to that soup kitchen and to help out. Not at Christmas, not at Thanksgiving, because they have folks that want to be charitable right at that moment, but all the times during the year when you can work to help yourself and your children enjoy the beauty of giving as well as receiving. It seems like Christmas has evolved to this thing that it's all about getting. You know what? Sometimes they barely even mention, leaving Santa Claus a cookie and a glass of milk, and, getting back to Santa Claus for a minute, let's remember that the initial intention of Santa Claus was just to be a blessing to people. I do believe in Santa Claus. I believe in Santa Claus, the spirit, the very essence and soul of Saint Nicholas, every bit as much alive today as he ever was. When we get that inclination, that calling to give, that to me is that spirit of Saint Nicholas working through us. Now, Charles Fillmore said, and very rightly so, you should never give to need. Why? Because when we give to need, we create more of whatever we give to. We do not give to need. We give because we have already received, and it is ours to give. Nothing is really ours. If you've ever lost your job or anything, or lost money, it's God provides for us in a constant stream. So we want to always make sure that we give, and we never give from a feeling of, I'm superior to you because I have and you don't. Because that is the whole wrong thing. You are not giving to need. You are distributing. You're practicing good stewardship of the good that God has given you. If you don't have money to give your time, give your stuff. Give all that extra stuff that's in your closet, basement, and attic, cluttering everything up. Because I'm going to tell you something else about blocked energy. If you have a closet with a whole bunch of clothes you're not wearing because someday you may lose weight, someday you may gain weight, although I think that's very few people's problems. But, you've got these clothes, well, maybe it'll come back in style. Stop it. Stop it. Give it away. Bring it to Goodwill. Give it to Free Cycle. Do something to stay in that flow of giving. When we teach our children this, and we practice this, and we make that a part of our Christmas, by taking the focus off of receiving all the time, they will experience that joy, and they will develop a prosperity consciousness that they will take into their lives for their whole lives long. So we do have a little exercise on this one, so I'm going to move our guy. These are suggestions and ideas for charitable activities that you may wish to participate in. I'm going to see if I can bring this up a little closer for you. Okay, and I'm hoping I'll pull this over a little bit so you can get a good look there. I must have bumped something in between little views. So let's take a look at this. I call this sweet charity because giving truly, truly is a sweet thing to do. There are many charitable activities like going to the food bank or going to the soup kitchen. Going to the food bank is great. They will not let children work in a soup kitchen because they're too little. And even if they're older, it has to be more anonymous, and adults have to be able to not go to school the next day or work the next day and say, guess who I saw at the soup kitchen? Kids don't understand that you can't say that. So you think about potential charitable activities, cash donations. And so if you walk by the Salvation Army thing and you put some money in their kettle, the little bell ringer, what do you think your kids are going to think of you? Well, isn't that a nice thing to do? And what's that bell ringer going to say? God bless you. So if you give the money to the child and say, hey, put that in the bucket, so many people, you know, if you're lonely, if you're home and lonely and feeling sorry for yourself, for God's sake, go visit someone else who's lonely. You can find them, especially in places like convalescent centers, maybe even hospitals. Or if you go to those soup kitchens. Another idea is special favors for family and or friends. Everything we give does not have to have a price on it. You can give stuff that is your time, your energy, and your talent. Contributions toward world peace. You know, every week at Unity we sing, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." Well, you can make a great contribution to world peace by being peaceful, understanding, and forgiving. You can also support organizations like Seeds of Peace, whose whole focus is bringing children from the Middle East, teenagers, who have experienced war, to teach them ways to settle their issues peacefully and to learn to look close enough to love each other. Buying holiday gifts and cards from charitable organizations. It's another way where you can get something for yourself while you're getting something for others. Like to just mention at this point the Heifer Project. In the churches I've served, we've always had different kinds of activities during the holiday season to raise money to buy animals that go to the families that are in third world countries that help them to make a living. It might be chickens for eggs, or there's many different reasons that they have the animals. It's not about sending them out there to make them their dinner. And when you give, always ask yourself, or ask your children, how did that make you feel when they give? And when you give, how does that make you feel? It should make you feel good and helpful and like you're doing something meaningful. And then you ask yourself, what can you do differently this year to enhance the experience? Is there something you can do to make someone else's holiday better? Because in turn, that's going to make your own holiday better. We're going to move it out a little bit now. Okay. I want to share a couple of things I do that I've done in the past. One of them is to make up little goodie bags with non-perishable foods and sometimes a little card or a little gift item. Like one time I did little wooden hearts, and on one side it said "You are loved," and on the other side it said "You are loved," and it would have like tuna and crackers or cheese and crackers and maybe a little juice box, candy bar, and just take them to where you know there are homeless people and hand them out. I brought you lunch, you know, Merry Christmas, have a good day, whatever kind of thing you want. Keep thinking of charitable things that you can do and that you can teach your children, because the more you help them to balance the giving and receiving thing, the better balanced human being they're going to be, and a better change maker, making the world a better place to live. Now, I'm gonna say the one last thing right now for this section, which is quite difficult. People hate to hear the word. It's about tithing. You all go to churches, different churches in different places, and a lot of times people have difficulty giving to the church. I was actually raised by, my dad would say, well, look at the rectory that the priest lives in. And my dad was a good and generous man, so don't think I'm in any way saying, not to give. But there is a consciousness on a lot of people, the church is always asking for money. Well, you know what? In that church that you go to, you want an attractive church. You want a clean church. You want a church that is warm in the winter and cool in the summer. You want a preacher that is educated and experienced and does a great job and is going to be there for your weddings and funerals and when you need some counseling and all that. So I really encourage you over this holiday season to think about, not just for the holidays, but always to support your church, your minister, because that's like fertilizing your garden. Do not send money to a church, if it's not feeding you spiritually, you want to be fed spiritually. But if that church is feeding you spiritually, give to that church. Give generously. Don't give to that church because the principles of prosperity say that as you give, so shall you receive. Give generously, you'll receive abundantly. That'll happen anyway. But you give to your church because you have received. Because you receive every Sunday. So just do keep that in mind, because it's so easy to kind of discount or take for granted something that is there, you know, like every Sunday for you. Take care of your church. Take care of each other. And remember what a very wise man once said. He said, it's not what you give, but what you share. For the gift without the giver is bare. See a homeless person? Buy them lunch or take them to lunch. I know that's a big stretch, and maybe it's a way down the road, but they need more than food. They need to know, like your children need to know, they are accepted and they are loved. Alrighty, we got just one more to go. And so go and think on these things. Think of other charitable things you can do.